Uh-oh, here comes another F1 YouTuber. What's going on, people? This is Savage from Team Crossroads, and today I'm going to be guiding you through a hot lap around Albert Park in the rain at F1 2015. So really quickly going to do the setup here, nothing too unusual. The wings are a little bit low for the rain because my style is a little bit more understeery. Go figure, I drive a Honda. And the suspension anti-roll bars are basically opposites to kind of help you go through the slower corners and the high-speed kinks around this track. That's kind of your own personal preference. Feel free to copy it or, balance them out as in another fashion if you so wish. Now, go into the track here. You're going to see at the top right, I have my pedals for you guys, captured live with a camera as I was doing the hot lap, and that'll be essentially a reference for how much throttle and brake I'm putting in. I hope that helps you guys visually. So right here, we're going to go into the first corner, and here we're going to want to brake at the overhead display panel on the left between the 115 and 100 meter boards, and this is the only corner on the track where I advise braking at 100% power. You can slam that pedal right down and then lift off. You can brake later, but that's not the best line because you want to hit an early apex on this one and straighten it out to the next corner. Now, braking too late is just going to cause you to have to pivot your car too much and slow you down. Don't trail brake here too much either, because otherwise you're just going to end up in the gravel. Front and side lockups are absolutely crazy, so if you need to brake a little later, I suggest using the gearbox and spamming the ever-loving shit out of that to slow yourself down. No real fear of locking up the rears. For turn 2 here, just be easy on the throttle because there's a little bit of oversteer that happens on corner exit. You see I'm not 100% on it till I'm almost at the exit curve. Turn 3, right here, we're going to take a nice quick brake, about 90% pedal travel at the 115 or 120 distance, and gradually release that pedal and trail brake ever so slightly at 10% power until you are halfway from the left side of the track to the apex. That's basically, complex wording for just trail brake a little bit. And you're going to want to hit a late apex on this because that's going to actually help you save about 5/10 in this corner. This one's crucial to master if you want a good first sector. Now we're going to cruise right through here to turn 4, and we're going to want to make our way really quickly over to the right side. Don't even bother hitting the exit curb on the left. You're going to want to be on the right as quickly as possible, and you can do 2 ways to achieve that. The one I did in this video is just lifting off the throttle and using that surplus grip to steer the car over to the right. What you could also do is put in more throttle than you need, causing oversteer, and that can get you to the right side of the track as well. The advantages of that second technique is that you essentially are at the right side of the track quicker, and you're already pointing parallel to the track, which means you're pointing closer to the corner than I am. However, the downside is that if you're doing a race 25%, 50%, even 100% distance, if you're going to do this every lap, odds are at least on one of those laps you're going to overdo it a little bit and put some of that shiny silver paint all over that Pirelli barrier, and that's exactly the opposite of what you want. So just be careful with that. You're going to come into the corner here, just let off the throttle, hit that curb nice and hard, and just use throttle input to understeer yourself towards the opposite side of the track. Just be careful on input. You're going to see I don't actually get 100% until I'm almost at the left side of the track again here because the oversteer is definitely not fake. Turn 5, you're going to want to turn in earlier than you'd expect at about that overhead display on the left again, and make sure you're at the leftmost side of the track to maximize your kind of straight line through that corner, and depending on your aero and springs, you might have to lift off. That's what I have to do, but it's really not a big deal. If you use that exit curb on the left side to your advantage, just generously gobble that up, don't let it go to waste. You can still carry a lot of speed through that corner. Turn 6, you're going to brake to about 75% pedal travel between the 100-meter board and the overhead, and don't really trail brake into this one all that much because that's going to really cause you to lock up, and that's not what you want. Be careful on that. Now, take the corner in 3rd gear and hit a middle apex. You do not want to hit the curb too early because that's going to cause you to have to pivot the car on exit way too much, and you want a nice, clean, fast, and straight exit out of this one. Now, the one thing to make sure is that you don't apply the throttle too greedily, too quickly, because that's going to give you a lot of oversteer through this S section that we're going through right now. Now we're going to come up to this corner right here. This one's a real bitch. The second bitchiest corner on the track. I'm not a big fan of it, but you're going to need to brake really lightly here. I'm talking 60 to 70%. at about the 115 meter board, and that's partially because the lockups are definitely real here. You want to brake nice and early and nice and soft. Otherwise, you're going straight into that gravel trap, and sorry, gravel, nobody likes you. You're going to release the brake at a fairly quick rate. Again, you don't want to lock up the inside front, and do not trail brake into this corner. Whatever you do, don't even try. Bad plan. Now you're going to shift down to second gear, and you're going to hop the curb, hopefully a little bit better than I did. You're going to want to get right up to that orange bump past the initial curb there to really cut it as much as you legally can. Terms and conditions apply. And it's better to go in slow and come out fast with this one, because otherwise you lose a whole hell of a lot of time. If you hit that exit curb too early and too hard, you have to put in a lot more extra steering, and you're going to need to negotiate a lot of extra oversteer. Now, when you're exiting this corner, like I said, do not be greedy on the throttle. Look at this. Just now I got to the full throttle mark because the oversteer is severe in this one. I've gone into that wall more times than I can count. Here we go up to turn 11. You're going to brake lightly. That means about 50% braking right before the 50 meter board. And then just drop 3 gears and take an absolute shit on the track limits here. You're going to want to enter the corner slow enough so that you can cut the curb almost right up cozy to that bollard, and then on the exit you don't want to bounce much farther than the middle of the track. That's because you need to go right straight, make a beeline to the left, and be ready for the next corner. That's going to be the fastest line you can get through here. Now, because you managed to get to the left, now you have a really nice straight line through 12, and that's very important because this corner can basically gain or lose you 5 more tenths on this lap. It's a key to a good third sector, so you need to really prioritize this one because of the straight that follows. You're going to want to put on throttle from the apex of 11 all the way through to 12, and by the apex of turn 12, you want to be at about 100%. And if you thought the slice through 11 was bad, well, you're just going to have to absolutely shamelessly pulverize the shit out of this corner. Don't tiptoe around it. Nobody's going to be happy. Your race engineer is going to be pissed. The guy behind you is going to be pissed because he's going to be half a car length inside you by the time you get to the exit curb. And Bernie Ecclestone's going to be knocking on your window telling you to think before you drive. Seriously, I get it. It's a corner cut, but it's okay. Everybody does it. It's like speeding 5 over the limit. Everybody does it, unless you live in Dallas. I hear they don't take too kindly to that shit. But you're just going to go right over this curve and nice exit, wide, use up all that excess track, and all over to the next right-hander here. Now, this one is faster than you might first expect it to be, and it's very important to not overdo it nonetheless. Brake hard, nice and hard. I did it 100% actually, but that caused me to lock up, so don't be like me. Don't be a dumbass. Brake right before the 100-meter mark, and turn in nice and hard. I actually clipped the grass on this corner, and that's a little overkill, but still, you want to go in that hard, and I'd actually try not to hit the exit curb all that hard, because essentially you can go faster, but on exit you're going to have to put in less throttle because that causes you a lot of oversteer in the rain. That exit curb is devious. Now you're going to make your way over to the next corner here, another right-hander, and for this one in the rain I recommend braking just briefly, and that's going to be around that marker on the side. I believe it's between the 100 and the 50, and essentially what you're going to want to do is turn in nice and hard and start applying throttle right out of the corner in order to kind of understeer yourself to the exit. This curb you can use plenty of. It doesn't give you too much oversteer, but at the same time, you're going to want to get right over to the right side of the track here for turn number 15. This one, oh man, this one's going to be a real shitstorm because you got to brake really lightly, otherwise you lock up everything. 45% of the brakes. Gradually release and do not trail brake again. Very important that you don't do that. I didn't straighten out properly, and you're going to see that I actually clip the grass and lock up. What you're going to want to do is once you get to the right, you want to straighten yourself and go parallel to the track so you brake in a completely straight line. And by absolutely all hell, do not overdo the gears. Wait a full second after you start braking before you start downshifting, and do your downshifts down a second, nice and slow, controlled, and calm. I'm serious, these gearboxes, they smell fear. Now, it takes some time to figure out how to do this corner properly, but make sure to brake and try to shoot for kind of a late apex, and kind of just try to be tangent to the track when you hit the exit curb, essentially parallel to the line already, so you can get a nice clean exit without too much wheel spin out of this corner. For this last one here, you're going to want to go to the left of the track. I don't go all the way because trying to turn that much under throttle to go all the way to the left of the track gives me way too much wheel spin in the rain. Again, no assists, so, you know, the car's twitchy. So I just go towards the middle. I find that's the fastest line. And what you're basically going to want to do is turn in hard and let off the throttle when you see that white line on the ground there, and then turn as if you aim to clip the grass with your inside front, and then just put on throttle to understeer yourself past to the exit curb. You can take that generously, but remember, do not put on the throttle in a jerky fashion. Nice and smooth, and you can put in a lot of throttle. If you just slam the pedal, you're going to oversteer into the Rolex barrier on the right there. Now you're on the straight, and you're just going to go right through to the end for that lap 136.0. Now we're going to take a look at this lap again for all those of you that want to see it uninterrupted and in kind of live time. So here we go. Let's go do it. Alright, and that's the lap again there, and I hope you found this helpful. If you would like to suggest anything, comment, or leave any bullshit proofing, please go ahead and do that in the comment box. I appreciate it, and probably so would the other viewers. And in the meantime, thank you very much for watching. I hope you found this helpful, and more guides and tutorials are on their way soon.